And let's go to the final game of the NFL divisional round. 49ers 19, Cowboys 12. In a game where this game, I think, as a Cowboy, will haunt Cowboys fans for years to come because they had it in the fingertips. This isn't like in previous times they've made it to the divisional round. You know, looking back to 09 when they played the Vikings, where the game was over from the word go.
The Rams a couple years ago.
The Rams a couple of years ago. The Packers, Dak's rookie year, where they got down big and they made a good comeback, but then Cowboys' dad, Aaron Rodgers, just said, "You know what? I got this."
Yep.
And pulls a rabbit out of his hat, and then Mason Crossbar hits a game-winning field goal. This one felt different. This defense, the difference was none of those teams had good enough defenses that could do anything where you had a lot of faith if the offense was having a bad day. This team, the defense showed up. They looked like fresh, rejuvenated, and ready to go. They got off to a great start, 3-0. Dallas goes, I think they get a first down, and then they go 3-0. And you could tell from the start that they were missing Jason Peters. You knew it was going to be tough sledding, which Kellen Moore is like, I hope he's gone because let's keep trying to run outside. Let's run outside. Well, you're not going to do it against Fred Warner. You got to run through him. And when they ran on the inside. They had success.
Good things happened.
But, Kellen Moore, best offensive coordinator in the game, according to some people, going to be a head coach somewhere.
Which is going to be a travesty for that organization.
And, you see Mike McCarthy got this big-ass play sheet that he had in Green Bay. Why isn't he calling plays?
Yeah, dude, thank you for bringing that up. I saw his big-ass play sheet, and then the one Kellen Moore had, and Kellen Moore's was about a quarter of the size. What is going on here?
And Dallas doesn't have an identity. And then Dak came back. Horrible interception. I don't know what happened there.
That first
give
one?
It to San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then credit to D. They did a good job holding them to a field goal.
Field goal.
And, they did a really good job on first and second down of making it into a long, obvious passing situation. DeMarcus Lawrence looked like he was from the start of the year. Micah Parsons had a really nice game. The defense did enough to win. And then, after the interception, credit Dallas. Dak, he came right back. They went right down the field, scored.
7-3, right?
Missed 6.
7.
Who's the kicker for the Cowboys?
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, Brett.
And, I have TD, Dak to Schultz. Probably played his last game as a Cowboy. And I wrote down, they're going to be going for 2 from here on out. And then the defense, they held. And Dallas had a shot going into the middle 8. And I said that with 3:48 left, it's 6-6.
Mm-hmm.
And I said they have a chance to win the middle 8, get a score, and the ball out of the break. And Turpin had a great return after that, where there was set. Dak was moving the ball with his legs. That could be a difference. And then back-to-back plays. This is what I wrote down. Pollard hurt. Shit. Dak, INT, 115. SF territory. All cap. Shit! Dallas holds him to a field goal. Yep. 9-6. 9-6 halftime. And I wrote, not really knowing, but kind of having a hunch and not fully thinking this through. But, if they don't turn the ball over, they'll win the game. The defense needs to force a turnover because out of the break, Dallas did not do anything on offense.
Nope.
But a muffed punt by Ray McLeod. They get that short field. And that's where you could tell they missed Pollard, where they didn't have that explosiveness. And, Zeke's good running in between the tackles, but he's not going to break one, especially against a defense like that. I mean, Zeke breaking one against this defense is a 5-6 yard carry, which is good. Will put you ahead of the sticks, gets the defense on their toes, keeps them guessing. But they make the field goal. Brett Maher, never a doubt.
Never a doubt, baby.
Nope. So tie it back up 9-9. And, Dallas gets gets a stop again. And, I was like kind of sitting there. I'm like, at some point, they've been going very short intermediate routes. At some point, they have to go for a deep shot. They do that with CD. They get to the San Francisco 45, and then I think they go get Dak gets sacked, or there's a 5-yard loss where they were at the 35, and then it's at the 40, and then they come out like they're gonna go for it, where it was it was 4th and 5, and then they end up taking the penalty to make it 4th and 10, and a good punt by Anger, and it was like thinking like, okay, 12, it would have been like an 88-yard drive, make them go the whole field.
Yep.
And this was the drive of the game here, and there was that Kittle catch before.
Yep.
Which Diggs should have just depleted him.
I don't know.
He had a shot.
I don't know why he did
whiffed.
He could have.
I think he was worried about getting a penalty.
You think that was so much in his head? That it's so much in these secondary players' head these days where they're thinking about that and they miss tackles?
I think so. Well, I mean, Stephon Diggs doesn't tackle. He just leans his shoulder in and hope it works.
You mean Trayvon Diggs?
Trayvon Diggs, yeah. Yeah, not a good day for the Diggs brothers.
Not a good day for the Diggs family.
No. And this was the sequence here that I'm talking about. Diggs drops an interception on 2nd and 9.
Yep.
On the Dallas 20. So it's 3rd and 9. DeMarcus Lawrence gets a sack, and it was 1,000% the right call of defensive holding. But the most frustrating part about it is he was under pressure from the snap. There was no way anything. Yeah. Purdy was not going to complete that at all.
No.
And he gets bailed out by that 1st down, and then that's the end of the 3rd. And then Juszczyk gets down to like the 3. That's the end of the quarter, and then McCaffrey runs it in 16-9. And it was like,
oh boy,
this is where it fell. And leading up to that drive, that 88-yard drive, that was where like the San Francisco offensive line woke up. And Erin Andrews, when she met with Shanahan, said that our O-line has to wake up. We have to start creating some holes.
Yep.
And for the most part, Dallas's defense did a really good job of keeping, McCaffrey and Debo in check. You hardly heard their name.
Correct.
And going in, if you would have told me that they weren't going to do a whole lot, Dallas was going to win, I thought. But, Dallas gets the field goal with Maher to make it 16-12. And then San Francisco, that's where you could see that Dallas's defense starting to tire.
And wear out.
Wear out. And to Dallas's credit, they bowed up. They were able to force a field goal, make it 19-12. And then the defense for San Francisco showed up. Dalton Schultz forgot that he was in the NFL, not in college. And Dak had a shot too to make a play. He had Gallup wide open and he missed him. And they went 3-and-out in a punt. And we've talked so much about the running the ball in the playoffs and how key that is. That if you're able to outrush the other team, you've got a 95% chance to win. And you know what the second half rushing yards were?
A lot to a little.
San Francisco, I know they had a graphic up. I think they got a couple of more yards. It was, if you round up, it was 90 yards. Dallas 20.
Yep, that's going to lose you games.
And Pollard his absence was deeply, deeply missed. And we don't need to discuss that last play of the game because they weren't going to win anyways. There was going to be a whole lot of luck. Oh, Zeke is not going to be a center when he eats himself out of a running back. But a disappointing end. And this same conversation that we talked about having with the Giants, I think it needs to start having with the Cowboys and Prescott. I think I like Dak, but I think he's reached his ceiling, and it's going to be tough because Pollard is a free agent.
Nope.
Schultz is a free agent. They have a bunch of free agents coming up, and Pollard you have to franchise. Zeke's going to have to take a significant pay cut.
Do you think they release Zeke?
If he doesn't take a pay cut, yeah, absolutely. You have to at this point. You can find a good power running back in the draft,
True.
and you know, and be and feet and releasing him would be good because they would force them to feature Pollard,
Yeah.
which would be good and which would just add another dimension. And Zeke is get a running back that's good in those short yardage, those tough in between the tackles,
Situation.
type of runs.
Yep.
And even in this game, that Pollard running in between the tackles was their best running game, but that disappeared when he went out.
Yep.
And I think if Dak wants to succeed and the Cowboys want to get over the hump, they have to have the conversation of restructuring his contract and him taking less pay so he is surrounded with more weapons, because that's where you're going to see him more successful.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, because when we talk about these superstar quarterbacks and everyone in the media, including us, they go, you can't win in the NFL without a quarterback. Yes, that's true. But let's also call a spade a spade. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, there's a few of them out there. Not every NFL team is going to have that. But what every NFL team can do is build a great team around that quarterback who makes your above average to good quarterback make him play great. And look at the other team on the other sideline this weekend.
Hang on. My neighbor's dog is having an absolute bark attack right now.
Oh.
Going absolute berserk, screaming bloody murder. That's 2 episodes in a row. We have a trend going on right now.
We got a trend, folks. Maybe there's some coyotes in the neighborhood.
Maybe there were a few years ago. There were reports of mountain lion spottings in Dickinson.
Okay.
Right by my parents' house, they found tracks, and was that a big kitty?
That's a big cat.
Yep.
That's those wild cats are the things that scare me. Run away from them.
No, you ain't outrunning them. Your best get is get a concealed carry and you shoot that bastard.
Don't get anywhere near him, because that kitty's gonna do some bad things to you.
Yep. Especially if there's kittens around.
Oh boy. Bad news bears right there, folks.
Yep. But back to Dak. The Cowboys.
There's only so many of these elite quarterbacks in the league where they make your teams better. And look at the team across on the other sideline on Sunday, San Francisco. You have a 7th round rookie who just played his 6th or 7th game.
And looks the best out of the 3 quarterbacks
the best
on the roster.
out of the 3. But also, that coincides with what the San Francisco's done with their roster over these last 4 to 5 years. You trade for Trent Williams. You draft Brandon Ayuk. You draft George Kittle. You trade for Christian McCaffrey. You keep Juszczyk. You build this offensive line. You have a head coach who has an identity in an offensive system. You build and draft and develop the best defense in the NFL. This is what more teams need to do, and this is what Dallas needs to do. And on the defensive end, Dallas is doing that. But now they need to clear up these holes on the offensive line, get another playmaker outside of CD, and get another running back. So where Dak, who's a good player, but he's not a great player, but if you build this team around him, can become a great player.
Well, and I've dumped on Amari Cooper a fair amount of times, but he would have been more useful than Michael Gallup yesterday.
Absolutely.
And they held on to the wrong guy. Cooper and all his flaws, who doesn't like the cold, I wouldn't say is the toughest guy around, but he knew how to get open. He knew how to make plays. And Michael Gallup he was just so inconsistent. I mean, he's either really good or really bad. And we got really bad Michael Gallup. And especially when Tony Pollard, your kind of spark plug, your identity of the offense goes out, guys have to step up. Yep. Schultz didn't step up. Schultz is going to be gone. As far as I'm concerned, he's done. He's not coming back and I think it would have been tough anyways because of just their cap situation. And it would have taken a run to the Super Bowl for them to really consider re-signing him. But
Yeah, and
I like where they're at on the tight ends. I do think I would like to see him get maybe a little bit more explosive. But Ferguson had a nice year. Hendershot was solid.
yep.
I still think they need to draft one more. Somebody kind of as a starter. I think of the three on the roster, Sean McEwen as well. I think of the three on the roster, I think Ferguson gives you that best shot if he's able to stay healthy, because he was probably their second best tight end
Yep.
throughout the year.
Yep.
Um, but it's only his second year, so we don't know. We don't know how he's going to do in an increased role, because this year he was mostly used as a blocking tight end, and I I don't know. We'll see. They got to add a second corner. They need to add another receiver as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the the kicker, good for Brad. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Who knows? Uh, and then defensively, they're going to have to pay Leighton Vander Esch, who, when he's healthy, is a really good linebacker and one of the best. He had a really good game yesterday, but he can't stay on the field.
Every year he's good for a neck stinger that makes him miss 4 games.
Yep, and they're going to have to pay Parsons, not this year, but in
Well,
2 years.
maybe in 2 years.
Diggs is going to have to get paid here.
Yep.
Because he was in that 2020 draft. But yeah, a lot of questions in Dallas. We'll see what happens. And